This video continues. No matter what I said in the rest of this video, listen to this. Do not use the 2008 to 2010 dimmer switch. It plugged right into my 2003 harness, but it caught on fire. Do not use it. It burns up. It can't handle whatever the old stuff is putting into it. Don't use the 2008 to 10 dimmer switch.
You want a race, boy? Alright, so I'm making this video after everything's said and done. This video might repeat some stuff. I'm not sure. Just a disclaimer. I apologize for the beginning of this video because the first day I was out of it from work, so I'm kind of boring. Then as I'm doing it at night, I'm talking very low because it's like 2 or 3 in the morning and I don't need my neighbors bitching at me because they don't like me as it is. So going off of that, this build probably took me, not a build, but this project was probably about, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 hours long. But it would be a lot easier if you bought a conversion kit. I just didn't want to do that. But I think it was well worth it. I still have some stuff I got to do. I still got to do the cluster. I still got to get a cup holder or whatever. I still got to tuck some wires away. I'm getting a radio later this week. So I got my window panels in, or whatever, the door panels in. I'm still working on the wiring and shit. But that's a different video. So let's get into the video now. I'm going to do my best to do step. This part of the video isn't going to be the most flattering. I just did a 12-hour shift of work. And now I'm coming home. Before I go to sleep, I just want to get some shit painted. Because I want to get these stuff... Not going to be able to talk right. I want to get these parts in tomorrow. And I want to have them painted already. But here is a little tidbit on what I'm doing. So here I got the Super Duty Dash. 2010. It was beige. Came out of an XL gas 2-wheel drive work truck. So I painted it black. But what I did was... Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Took soapy water. Wiped it down. Then I took a power washer. My gas one's not working. Blew a hole right through the bottom and spilled oil everywhere. So I have an electric one, which kind of sucks. Power washed all the door panels and shit. And the dashboard. Power washed them down. Took fine sand. Oh, I also used a sponge. Like just a regular dish sponge with the scrubby part. I scrubbed almost the paint off, the original paint. But what I did after that was I took a power washer, power washed it, and I took sandpaper, very fine sandpaper. This is exactly what I used right here. If you look at it, this is very fine. Let me see what grade it is. This is P500. I don't know. I just found it in my house. I just used whatever I had. So I sanded them down, and then I sprayed Adhesion Promoter Duplicolor Automotive Primer. So sprayed that on real quick. Did like a light coat. Let it dry a little bit. Did another coat. On the can it says do your top coat. I don't know anything about paint. It says do your top coat within 10 minutes. So once it was dry to the touch, I just put Rust-Oleum vinyl. And this shit I got from all of this. Not all this. All the spray and whatever. The paint and primer I got off of Amazon. Paint was $7 a can. Duplicolor primer was $11 a can with prime and all that, so I got it the next day. But I'll take a look here. Okay, well, I just finished painting the front door panels. Probably move this in a little bit more. It's dry, but I just finished painting it. It was sunny. I swear it was just sunny. But look at that. It's downpouring, thunderstorms. But let's take a look at this. Nice wet dash. Beautiful. So I may or may not start this tonight. I think it's supposed to ease up, but I mean the plastic is whatever. We'll just dry it off. No big deal. So what I did was, in order to get easy access to cut this up and modify it just in the truck, and to make this lighter, I took my plastics off. There was a whole bunch of screws. There was some holding the glove box on. I had to pull the airbag out because the airbag held the plastic in. Part that says Super Duty holds, as you can see where it's painted, that's the part that overlaps, so you can't pull it out. But there's a bunch of screws in the front, there's a bunch of screws in the back. I had to take the vents off the top in order to pull the pull the vents out, and then the plastic will come off. There's some screws in here, screws back there. And so 11:30 at night, this is the greatest time to start it. I got Markson and Steve
Came from Arizona.
Oh yeah, they came all the way from Arizona just to
Just to
swing
do the dash
wrenches
and come
and
back.
talk about the gay pride party they just went to.
Yep.
Alright,
was
so
amazing.
we're taking these screws out. There's some screws under here to get out. We're gonna leave the plastic on. I'm pulling the column off. So far, I got the fuse box out, and they're just breaking my windshield over there. So, Johnny always joking. My dashboard out. I'm doing my dashboard. Spaghetti. You guys like spaghetti?
Yes, sir.
Hey.
I love all this spaghetti right here. Now we're gonna start vlogging when the drugs are here. That's why we got here.
The drugs will go into that.
He's trying to break off some hose. No more hose. Let's break that shit off.
Here, pull this up right here. Just like that.
I told you, I hope you're a size 12 dash, bro.
What the fuck are we doing? It's coming along. It is like 2 a.m. Now it's like 1:45, I think. Something like that.
Screwdriver?
You've been missing a screwdriver. You've been missing a couple screws.
It'd be funny if you continually like recorded and then you just made it come part of the video. So it is the next day. I got my aluminum tape and I'm still working on the ducting because we kind of got tired last night. So my plan is to try and utilize as much of the old stuff and try and retrofit it to the new stuff as possible. So I'm guessing I'm going to cut this off, self-tap it in, I'll run like flex pipe, and I was watching some videos of some people what they did, and I guess I'll cut this off and try and use it to adapt. But as I go, I'll make sure I document it for all those who need help, because I'm trying to make this as easy as possible for people, because I had to do a lot of research on this and I still didn't understand it. So, in ambition, you too can have a beautiful dash just like this. I start my rates at about 100 an hour. You guys have to supply the dashboard. No, I'm just fucking with this shit sucks. What I did was, took the old vent off, the old box that was here for the 03, cut it. So this is the 03, cut off. Ran some flex tape, or whatever the fuck, not flex tape, whatever the fuck this is. Aluminum tape with the flexi duct. I didn't finish it yet, but this is ran all the way into here. I gotta tape it up, or whatever I gotta do, and self-tap and all that. And then here's the other vent. Look at that. Bam. And I just gotta tape it all up into there. And then as for this, to mount it, I have to put a self-tapper or something through it, or a couple of them. And then now I'm working on the vent for the top. So my plan is to cut off the 03 vent box here and just adapt it somehow to that one.
No, I have a license and everything.
He has no liability.
No.
It's all on me. So our plan is, because I butchered the 03 one trying to get something to work, our plan is we're gonna run some flexi tube like this into here and just up to the vent, and then we're gonna run the tubes for the window defrost just into this, and we're gonna make it look nice, kinda. Hope, you know, function over form as far as I'm concerned. We're not gonna look at it, so that's our plan. Let's see how we get it to work. What the plan is for the upper vent. I glued with super thick super glue, glued this 4-inch flexi into here, so it's kind of split in the middle, or more to the driver's side or whatever. I forget how I did it, but it's probably more in the middle. Super glued, taped it, running it straight into the vent box. Then for this, I had the flex tube come out. I cut the original box off. I'm probably reiterating, but I want to make sure I covered it. Cut the old box, so I had the plate. I gotta self-tap it down. Ran 2 tubes out of it, taped. This goes up, so it's gonna meet the vent. The vent's gonna go over and yada yada, and this is gonna come over and yada yada. And I'm gonna hook up the tubing for the window defrost by just running the tubes into here and taping it all up. So in theory, it should work. For the steering column, I did the HVAC system. Once again, just going over it. 03 part, cut off, flex pipe. I used 4-inch. 3-inch would have been better because I wouldn't have this weird angle here where it's kind of crushed. Should blow through no problem. Yada yada yada. It's a little wobbly, but I'll just put a screw in it or something. Now I'm just got to worry about putting all the wires up. Fuse box is good. I just gotta figure out how I'm gonna plug everything back. Okay, so I started putting some of the screws back into the vents. I lined up my bezel. I got my 4-wheel drive switch to work. All it was take the 2 screws out of the old one, take the 2 screws out of the new one, literally slide the old switch into the new one, put the new front on, and bam, it works. I'm not sure if the cigarette lighters were different. Did not want to take a chance. So what I did was I popped them out of the old bezel and the old dash, popped them back in. This isn't really on, or the wires aren't even hooked up yet. And I still got to figure out what I'm going to do with the AC controls, because I don't know if there's enough room. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But then I'll be putting the column back in. We're seemingly back to darkness. So I glued the headlight switch in, just used the 03. And then I tried to mix and match the newer stuff for the front, just to glue it in the back. I don't think they really see it in there yet. I'll see if I can pull it apart before the end of the video. Putting the column back in. Back bolts don't match up. I kind of cracked these plastic, tightening it down. So it still has some play to it. Kind of sucks. But here's my cluster wires. So now I'm in the process of wiring everything back up. Putting my grounds back on. Just finding out where all the plugs are. Hey, you moth, what are you doing? And that's pretty much it. I still got to wire up the middle parts and all that shit. But for the most part, the dash, I only put it on these 2 front holes. That the steering wheel is too far back. I think I need it out more, because every time I go to shift it, the shifting cable pops off the ball link. So I'm coming up with a way to attach these. I'm thinking maybe that square stock down there, but I'm still working on it. So I hit a little bit of a roadblock for tonight. So what I got to do is fuck these fuckers and then put a piece of metal in and bolt up the column. So I gotta think about how I'm gonna do that. I realized when I was taking the video and putting the dash in and all the stuff that I don't think I really covered what I did to get the steering column to work. So this is my 03 steering column. And I do have a video of the metal being drilled out. So what I did was I used the same stud here, and I drilled 3 holes in a piece of metal, which I'm not sure the exact size. It was like $8 at Home Depot. So the column utilizes the same front bolts, but as for the back, I basically drilled the new holes into the metal. And there's a hole in the column, the column mounts. There's a hole in it already. It's right here. So I'm utilizing that hole to hold the bracket up. So I'm utilizing the same stud. I'm putting the nut on it. That's the factory. Using a new nut and a new bolt, going through something that never had a bolt in it before. And it goes all the way back, and the back mounts are just in this piece of metal. They're not touching any part of the dash. They're touching my new bracket here that I made. And it's pretty sturdy. It's actually very sturdy. It's not going anywhere. I'm very happy with it. Let's see, anything else I gotta go over? Oh, here we go. Main thing. If you look up there, see how I had to notch it out? I didn't realize it because I had the batteries unplugged. The bracket I made was touching the brake pedal light switch, whatever. So it was pushing the brake pedal down and leaving the brake lights on. And I went out to eat after I installed this and after I put the batteries in. And when I came back home, I had a dead battery because my brake lights. Since I put the dashboard in, I had to mess with the steering column shifter link because I have the column pushed far back, it was touching the brake pedal. So when I went to go shift, it would pop off. So now I kind of bent the ball link arm more towards me, and I put a zip tie around it. So let's see what happens. Also, I think I broke my shift indicator. So, and that's dry. Like it's working pretty well. I was kind of worried if I turned left, the truck would go right, since I usually screw everything up, but I think it came out pretty good for now.